No, we want him to play plenty of minutes while Steph is out. We just have to adapt what we're doing, and he's got to adapt, what he's doing individually. And so that's been a big conversation. It's an adjustment for a guy who's played a certain way for, 12, 13 years. It's a big adjustment, but he's done a really good job of that.
You think about now 10 years later, and your guy Steph Curry is still out there hoisting 35, 40-footers. Do you ever take a moment to think about those early days and then realize just, where you are now and how long you've been a part of Steph's life?
I think about that all the time, just how lucky I am to have this be my first coaching job and to inherit a team that was already really good with a young core. This doesn't happen, so I got really, really lucky.
Coach, it's a bummer that Steph and LeBron won't share the court again, with Steph not being quite ready to go. But LeBron in town did sort of bring this question to my mind. You've watched these careers coincide through the years, and I wonder how you feel the NBA has changed and what they had to do with it since the arrival of Steph and LeBron.
Well, first of all, they've been the torchbearers for the league, throughout their careers. Both guys are just such amazing symbols and players and voices for our league. And, getting the chance to coach LeBron 2 years ago in the Olympics was such a thrill, and to really get to know how committed he is, how passionate he is about the game, the preparation, everything that goes into it. So the league has just been incredibly fortunate to have those two guys as the faces of the league, these last couple of decades practically. How the game has changed, I think Steph has changed the game dramatically with the shooting. I mean, for all the reasons we know. I don't know that LeBron has changed the game as much as Steph, but he sort of took the mantle from, Kobe and Michael Jordan, that guy who is just head and shoulders above everybody athletically. But he's taken it to a new level with the versatility in his game. There's just never been a player like him. And it's obviously, displayed by his, all the incredible records, the scoring record and so many others. But also by the way the game has changed around him, in which he's helped, where we're playing positionless basketball. If you ask me what position does LeBron play, I have no idea. It doesn't matter. He's just a winner.
Coach, when you coached the two of them on the same team, I'd love to know kind of your observation in terms of who took the lead. And it's not even just the two of them. You've got a room full of alphas. When they all come together, how do all the alphas sort of decide who's the alpha?
Well, the beauty of it was it just happened pretty organically. And LeBron is definitely the more vocal of the two. Steph is a pretty quiet leader, leads by example. LeBron was very vocal, every shoot around, so engaged. He'd been through USA basketball and the Olympics many times before, so he understood just the urgency that was necessary for every single practice. And he showed that. And I think the guys all looked at him as the leader of the group. And then, you saw it in the gold medal game when we were being threatened by France. The guys all threw the ball to Steph, whether it was Kevin Durant or LeBron, Joel, all these guys who were MVPs and incredible players, they did all defer to Steph down the stretch. And that, to me, that was the ultimate sign of respect for Steph, that, here are the greatest players on earth, and they just respected him so much, and they knew that he was likely to make the shot, and he made like 4 of them, and they all kept throwing him the ball. It was incredible to watch.
Yeah, respect, but also intelligence because, hello, I mean,
That's right.
guy's on a heater. I mean, can we go ahead and give him the ball? I wonder, Steve, about what you said earlier about changing the game, and he definitely changed the game, Steph did, and the way you guys have gone about playing. But Mark and I were talking earlier, 42% of all shots now are three-point shots. Do you find that to be good for the game?
Well, whether it's good for the game or not, I mean, the league has gotten really smart. I think coaches are smarter than ever because we have more information than ever, and there's a lot of innovation that is happening. We just understand now much better what's a good shot, what's not, and why. It's kind of the convergence of the analytics revolution with a younger generation of players that has grown up shooting more threes, watching Steph and watching, how powerful the three-point shot is. Personally, I would probably prefer fewer three-point shots than what we're seeing now, but I get it. I mean, I think we take more than anybody in the league, and there's a reason for that. We're just trying to win, and so it's a tough thing for the league to really try to reconcile. If they do want fewer threes, I don't know how you do that, because I think what's happened is everybody is just optimizing efficiency.
I wonder, Steve, where you think this is going and what it means for players who are quote unquote non-shooters. You've even referred to them this year at times. They can hit a three, but they're not three-point shooters, and the defense runs at them. Like Draymond Green, for example. How much room is there for unique players that are not three-point shooters going forward?
Oh, there's still room for guys who aren't three-point shooters, but there's less room than there was before. I mean, now, when I played, I retired in 2003. I would say at that point, every team had maybe 4 guys who were three-point shooters. And now every team has 10, and so back then there were more room for specialists, the backup center who could use fouls against Shaq, for example, or the backup point guard who was really, a game manager who couldn't shoot, but who could really run the offense. And now there's fewer roles, but there still are roles, great defenders, great rebounders, playmakers, guys who can play multiple positions. But even those guys, we want them to be able to make an open three if possible.
Because that's the nature of the game right now. And you're describing, kind of without saying it, Draymond Green, somebody who you have to have defensively on the floor. How much is it incumbent on him to, be able to play without Steph Curry? Or do you really just kind of, hold his minutes back until Steph and he are both able to play?
No, we want him to play plenty of minutes while Steph is out. We just have to adapt what we're doing, and he's got to adapt what he's doing individually. And so that's been a big conversation, a topic of conversation here in the last week or two with the staff since Steph's been out. And actually it's been several weeks, but we're really leaning into other spots on the floor for Draymond. He's so used to being up at the top of the key with Steph in their 2-man game. But without Steph, we're asking him to run to the corners, to run down to the block, to attack from different areas, and it's an adjustment for a guy who's played a certain way for 12, 13 years. It's a big adjustment, but he's done a really good job of that.
Steve, I described the team that you have right now as a box of chocolates because you really do. It feels like we're not exactly sure what you're going to get. And there's the guys that don't do the back-to-backs, and there's the guys out healthy, and you've got these young players. To what level do you feel that way? Like there's a lot of unknown in terms of what you're going to get consistently from your guys right now.
I think that's fair, and some of that is the injuries, and some of it is that we have kind of adapted our style this year, and we're sort of morphing into a different team than we were a few years ago or even last year. And so when you have this process, this evolution happening, and all of a sudden you're playing you're playing two-way guys who most of Dub Nation has not heard from or heard of, like the case with Malify Alliance the other night. I mean, it's different, but it's also fun, and I'm really enjoying it. The one thing that I can count on every single night is how hard these guys are playing, and it's been a good run here without Steph. Even though we're deficient, in terms of top end talent, it's just really fun to see a group of guys go out and compete and play together. And that Denver game was one of the best games of the year. I think our fans loved it, as they should have. So there's a lot to take away from situations like these. You see Guy Santos taking on more and more offensive responsibility, creating scoring chances for us. It's really fun to see young players starting to blossom.
And you've got some guys like, Brandon Pajemski, who is now in his third year. He seems like he's starting to graduate into a bigger role, and Moses Moody as well. What have you made of those two and how they've been able to, in a short stint, be able to graduate into more responsibility?
Yeah, I mean, Moses has been probably our most consistent player now for the last 6 weeks or so. He's just shooting the lights out. He's there for us every night. He's guarding the opponent's best player. And you can see the comfort level, the confidence with Mo. I think BP too, over the last week or two, he's had some really big games. Those guys were both starters for the last 30 games of last season. So this isn't brand new for them, but with Steph out and Jimmy out, you see that there's more shots, more responsibility, and I think you see some of the confidence growing because of that.